Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on another episode here at Fast Break on for IE Sports Radio, I want to talk to y'all about the last 8 years here on IE Sports Radio. For the last 8, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we have been continuing to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take that next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one, starting at this $5 a month, this donation gets you a shout out on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you for all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. Our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Rays, Marcus Low Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you everyone for making our 8th anniversary special. And here's for many more years to come. Now on to the show. On tonight's broadcast, we will discuss Kevin Durant's ultimatum to Brooklyn's ownership. Will the owner decide to side with Kevin Durant, or will he keep Steve Nash and Sean Marks in place? Plus, we'll go over early leaks of the NBA schedule. We'll discuss, who will win. Will be a great matchup. Or the NBA could have done better on those games. We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break live on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into. Like I said, we'll talk about Kevin Durant here in just a second. NBA schedule leaks going on as we speak, so we'll discuss those matchups and whatnot. But D-Lock, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing really good, man. Very exciting weekend. We do have other, football coming back. So that is an exciting thing, but also now we have a lot more news going on with Mr. Kevin Durant himself. And also now the Lakers are trying to be willing to do anything to get a Kyrie a move, right? So we have news coming out everywhere. On top of that, we do have that Christmas schedule that many people are going to be very excited about.
And let's hop into Kevin Durant. It feels like it's Groundhog's Day, in a sense, D-Log, that, we kind of talked about, this again, about Durant and all that stuff. It's like, for the past month or so here on this show, it's just like, are they going to do it? Are the Nets going to trade him? Are they going to keep him? He might stay. The Nets ain't going to get what they think they're going to get out of him. All that type of stuff. D-Lock, with the news that Kevin Durant met with ownership, he reiterated that he still wants to be traded. If only they keep Steve Nash and the GM Sean Marks in charge. What do you think about that ultimatum in your mind? Should the Nets cave in to Katie's demand and get rid of Steve Nash and Sean Marks? Or do you think the Nets brass say, hey, we're going to go with these other two guys here. We like what they're doing, and we'll accommodate your wishes. What do you think about that?
Well, to be honest with you, at this point, it seems as if Brooklyn is taking it very hard to get off of Kevin Durant. Clearly, teams probably have been calling. They're asking for one of the, a big blockbuster trade or a huge package for him in return. So for me, before I even get into that, it feels like that Brooklyn is trying to hold on to him as much as they can and are willing to do either as much as they need to keep him. To make this move, is like what they were doing in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning, they decided to hire Steve Nash, go get a Kyrie, go get a James Harden. They were making all these moves to make sure that Kevin Durant was going to stay and see if they could find a way to get things moving forward. And for me, we see how that went. They did all that stuff. Not only did they do all of that, but James Harden ended up leaving. And then, Kyrie is a person that had his future in question. And now Kevin Durant is saying the same thing. So to make do those demands that Kevin Durant is asking, probably wouldn't be the brightest idea to do for Brooklyn, because we see what happened in the past. As the quote says, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." And to be honest with you, if they do make this move, I feel like this is a shame on Brooklyn. If you let go of a Steve Nash and Sean Marks, I feel like doing this for Kevin Durant, that doesn't guarantee that he's staying or he's going to stay committed to what he believes. Because we see what happened in the past. He made all those moves in the past, and look what happened. He was ready to be, demanded to be traded out. So, to be honest, man, we're being real at this point. I'm probably taking the Utah route out in this situation. I'm probably trading Kevin Durant for a lot of picks, possibly a few players. Because right now, trading or doing the demands that Kevin Durant wants you to do, it doesn't guarantee a title. The one thing that Kevin Durant does not have or is not showing that is a big, big difference between him and LeBron is leadership. That is something that you don't have to worry about with the LeBron James. So, for me, you don't have that with a Kevin Durant. So these moves, it's like he's already hinted. He just wants to play ball. That's all he wants to do. So for me, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm probably swallowing the pill, the fact that Kevin Durant is not going to be in Brooklyn. And the fact that the biggest thing they need to swallow is the fact that they're not going to be a team contending for a title next year if they move Kevin Durant. So that's something that needs to be decided, because, right now, what the hell else can a man want you to do? Like I said, he's doing demands like a LeBron, but look at his resume compared to a LeBron James resume. They're, I guess you could say, stat-wise, very similar. But let's not forget, Kevin Durant is 34. He has, 2 titles to his name that went with the Steph Curry and the Klay Thompson. So, and a Steve Kerr and a Draymond. And I believe Iguodala was on that team. So you have somebody that does have the high potential, one of the better players in the league. But I'm not moving heaven and earth for this guy. He did something very similar in the beginning of the season. Well, hell, when he got there, and you took him when he was hurt, you paid him, and now he's ready to leave. So, for me, I'm not, very quick to do these demands that Kevin Durant is asking, because at this point, it's not guaranteeing the title. Not only is it not guaranteeing the title, but it's also not guaranteeing him to be coming back, for a few years or to fulfill his contract. So, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can see where this is headed. But I'm probably going to get off of Kevin Durant. At this point, I'm going to move him. I take draft picks, a few players at this point, because you're asking for all this stuff. You got all this something similar or more in the beginning, and now you're wanting to leave. Who's to say that he doesn't pull that card next year or the following year? So, for me, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm definitely not doing that.
I think, in my heart of hearts, D-Lock, I think Durant doesn't want to leave Brooklyn. I'm thinking, after he been around Steve Nash, and let's go back to what we kind of talked about in the past, which you brought up. When Durant and Kyrie got together and they talked about Steve Nash and the coach and saying they don't really need a head coach. And once those seeds were planted by those two individuals a couple years back, then things weren't going to work out. Like you mentioned in the past, once you kind of get that mindset in your mind about your head coach, you just kind of shot yourself in the foot. You kind of undermine the whole operation of things. And yes, other factors have played a key role in things, but if you got a good system in place, and to be honest, we really don't know what Steve, as a coach, and kind of look at Steve Nash and his coaching style, I don't know what his system really is. To be honest with you, is he playing that 7 seconds or less style like Mike D'Antoni, where he kind of really flourished in that system? Is he playing something like a motion offense that gets everybody involved, like Greg Popovich, a triangle like Phil Jackson? You get what I'm saying. There's really no identity as a team what these guys were going to do. Yeah, you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Okay, what type of offense you going to run? Whatever guys are going to complement these guys. It's just a lot of things from the jump when these two got together never really got set in place and set the tone for this franchise. And now we're here on August 14th of 2022. And it still questions how they're going to operate and go about things. And, to KD's ultimatum, I don't know. It's hard to decide. I've seen stories that Brooklyn, in talk to the Celtics, they have asked for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which sounds really freaking ludicrous. And I think we discussed last week, for the Celtics to give up Jaylen Brown for like at least a good couple years to Kevin Durant, it's kind of silly, in which you can get about twice as long as that, or maybe 3 times as long as that, with Jaylen Brown in tow. And I also, brought up the point, like, okay, about at least 5 years from now, you got Curry getting up in there in age. He's around our age. He'll be like 5 years from now, like 39 years old. Klay Thompson, same thing. Draymond, same thing. LeBron, we discussed this about the Laker thing, all that stuff. Where he gonna be at 5 years? Anthony Davis, same boat. What's his health gonna be like 5 years? You know, looking where else around the league. The Bucks, what they gonna be like in 5 years? Giannis will be like in his late 20s, but Middleton, he's already 31. Holiday, he's about 30, 31 as well. Jimmy Butler, he's on that 32 or something like that. So this, you know, if you're the Nets, you gotta think about, you know, these things. Hell, you looking at your own division, D-Lock. James Harden, about 32, 33. Well, he's gonna be like 5 years from now. So it's just like, yeah, Brooklyn could cave into that demand. But what's things gonna look like after this next season coming up, or the year after that? If you get rid of those guys, where's the infrastructure? Who's gonna build a great franchise? Yeah, you can talk to a Masai Ujiri who's up in Toronto and maybe coax him to come down to fix up your franchise. But does he really want to do that? And when she got a nice young stud in Scotty Barnes in tow. You know, can Steve Nash be a good coach? I don't know. Hard to say. Can Sean Marks be a good GM? Hard to say. You know? Really hard to say. So I don't know which way Brooklyn's going to go. And, you know, shout out to Mike Pat and Terry Rodriguez in chat. And Mike brought a good point. Teams have a problem setting up a 5-year plan. This is why the Lakers in the mess they're in right now.
Yep.
They kind of microwave a title, in a sense, for AD, and then kind of looking where they're at now. You got LeBron kind of like breaking down in his age. AD has always had injury issues since coming to the league. You know, you trade for Russ and things didn't go right this season, and then you trade away all your young bucks, and look what they're doing now. So, for Brooklyn, I don't know. I don't know which way they're gonna blow on this. And then you got the Trump card, you know, the other cards, and you got to think about Kyrie Irving. What's his mindset? Is he going to stay with his team after this next season, or he's going to bounce? That's another factor. You know? So, I don't know. There's a lot of factors, you know, to go along with this. You know, and I don't know which way this going to go out. But I will say this, though. I'll let you have the floor back on this. If Brooklyn does try and move Durant, you can't have a whole bunch of demands. I'm sorry. Yes, Durant's a generational piece, but you can't be asking for an arm and a leg and all that stuff. You really can't.
I mean, like I said, the thing about it for me that makes it hard to say that you would ask you. I mean, you ask for arm and leg, but there's a lot of things that play a part in why I wouldn't give an arm and leg for him. One is because of his age, in no particular order. One is because of his age. Two, because of his, he's not a leader. And that's fine. We've seen great players in multiple sports that are great players that are not leaders, and that's fine. Like that's cool. Um, I just feel like uh, that's not his role. You know, he wants to be a great basketball player that comes in and does his job, takes his shots, play well, and get the hell on, which is cool. So that's one thing that he does not have. But for me, that's something that if you're trying to give up a lot for somebody, that is a quality that I need to have and that any team is requesting to have. Uh, I give a prime example in Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a very good leader. We see what he did at OKC. Now, he hasn't won a title yet, but he's a very good leader in my eyes. See what he's done with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander after he left. He definitely has helped his career, even though he had high expectations for him. You know, he had a good mentor with him for a year, or at OKC. But that's a mark of a very good leader. But again, like I said, back to it, him not being a leader is one thing that keeps me away from moving all of that in his age. And the fact that he's just not, I mean, as good as Kevin Durant is, that guy just don't win championships, man. I mean, he has two of them. He doesn't, let me rephrase that. He doesn't do it on his own. He needs players around him. Let's just accept that. A lot of people have the comparisons into Michael Jordan or Kobe, different guys, but we seen him literally have a 3-1 lead, in OKC against Golden State and lose that. We seen him go against Boston, and get swept. We see him go against Milwaukee and get put out. So for me, I'm not really, like I said, moving them. But at this point, Brooklyn has to make that tough decision, but they have to be realistic as well.
Yep.
Like, this guy is, for one, if you make a decision if you go by his demands, you have to accept the fact that there's a chance that this guy may not he may not stay committed to you. That's the first thing you have to accept. Because even though it may seem like by doing what he's asking, what happened in the past? We literally just seen it. That's one of the biggest things. And two, you have to accept the fact that you're not going to be a contender if you trade this guy. You're in a rebuild situation. We talked about the whole James Harden situation in Houston and Philly. The fact that Philly did not make the trade for him in Houston. Those type of situations, they end up getting their guy. But I think Brooklyn's in a very similar situation. Like, you have to realize that, listen, your team is not going to be competing for a title. I know you have a decent roster right now. It looks pretty good. You did something, you did Warren. Got a couple guys. But if you trade Kevin Durant, your possibilities of winning is going to decrease. The guy wants out. Right now, he's kind of using that to his leverage, in a sense. To me, like I said, they have to make that tough decision on whether they want to deal with the fact that, yeah, you're going to keep him. And if you do, Steve Nash is probably not going to be there. But now you're in a dumpster fire. Like, now you're having an extra issue that you don't need. You know what I'm saying? Now you're going into the camp. You're going into the season with all these different questions and situations that you'd rather not deal with. So they have to make that tough decision. For me, I'm just looking at it like, listen, at this point, this guy's asking for you to do damn near everything to basically own that franchise. And if you do all these moves, I'll do some stuff like that, man. I have to get a title next year. That's just the bottom line. You want me to get off my general manager and my coach? We have to win a title next year. And that's not guaranteed. I would feel a hell of a lot better if that's a LeBron, like I said, or Michael Jordan, or Shaq, or Kobe. But I just don't see Kevin Durant in that realm of athletes. And I think That's what it's been proven. Like I said, this past year, um, he's a great player, but when it comes to the leadership, when it comes to leading a team to an NBA title, I just don't see it. Like he needs the help, and that's okay. So that just has to be accepted on both ends.
And then also this. Okay, you get rid of Steve Nash and Sean Marks, even though I think, the owner for the Nets, leaned and said, I really like Sean Marks as a GM. But, okay, you like him as a GM, you keep him, whatever, but get rid of Steve Nash. Who's going to be the coach? Who are they going to target? You know? I mean, I'm looking at the Nets coaching staff right now. They have Jacques Vaughn, Brian Keefe, Tiago Splitter, Royal Ivy, Ryan Forehand Kelly, and Igor Kakuzov, who's been around for a couple decades, and Adam Caphorn, and Trevor Hindy. Out of those guys, D-Lock, who's going to be, if Steve Nash gone, who's going to be named the head coach there?
Yeah.
None of those names sound appetizing.
Nope.
I mean,
the only one guy I know about there is Jacques Vaughn. And he doesn't have a good experience as a head coach.
I mean, and Vaughn, I enjoyed watching him in college at Kansas and stuff like that. And I thought, his career at Kansas and stuff like that, and in the years he played in the NBA, I thought that would easily translate to be a solid coach in any ranks, but it didn't work out at all for him. But now, he's been assistant again for the past few years. Maybe, seen some things and thought about things and all that stuff. Hell, some of the other coaches get 3-4 chances in the NBA. It couldn't hurt that he could have a chance. But that's just like, I thought about that. Like, okay, you get rid of Steve Nash, who are you going to target? That's my big question. Who are you going to target? And it's funny that Kevin Durant handpicked Steve Nash for this damn role. That's the funny thing about it. It's like, yeah, Steve Nash, cool. Bring him on. Like, and we never heard no reports like Steve Nash trying to be a head coach. I know he helped out with the Warriors and stuff like that, but it's just like, Steve Nash?
That's what he asked for.
And that's what he asked for. So Kevin Durant got to start taking some responsibility for his, his actions and whatnot, and kind of man up a little bit.
Yeah, he gonna have to do that, but it just seems like that's something that it just seems something that he has not done, and he's refusing to do. So that's why I said for me, I just feel like, at this point, you know who he is, and you need to understand that, okay, Kevin Durant just wants to play ball, so you need to have, to be honest with you, as good as best friends as Kyrie and Kevin Durant is, that is a bad combination on the basketball court when it comes to leadership, bro. Like, we've seen that. That's why it blew up in flames like that. Like, I know they can get any shot they want. We know that, but they can't even get them the damn court together. You don't have nobody that's getting them to get everything situated. It just doesn't help out anything. So, like I said, right now, hopefully, we knew this was gonna be a situation back when they had a podcast and Kyrie sat there and said they don't need a coach. that alone tells me everything. So it's at this point, like I said, if I'm Brooklyn, I mean, I know it's hard to get off the fact that, hey, you know what, you got one of the best players in the league. Right now, you guys are probably not probably, but you are like top 3, top 4 in Eastern Conference. You know, probably a little bit higher than that from other people's thoughts. You could really contend for a title, but it just, man. This doesn't. Then, you know, Mike James came out and said what he said. That didn't help anything.
Yeah. And I'll leave it at this. Let me ask you this question. Training camp about like a month away. Do you see any deal getting done before training camp? For Durant. Because a decision's got to be done here soon. If you're the owner, you got to make up your mind here soon. If not,
I mean, at this point, like, if you really think about it, it's going to either be Kevin Durant or Steve Nash. But, I mean, one of them is going to show up. But to me, like, dude, like, if you are the owner, if you're anybody in the front office of Brooklyn, like, why in the hell, like, you're looking at this situation like, wait, dude, you're telling us that we need to get rid of the general manager and the head coach, but you was the same guy that told us to hire him. Like, do they not see that? So if you know what I'm saying, that should kind of persuade you to how you make decisions. Now, that doesn't mean that you keep Steve Nash, but that means that you have to look at the fact that this guy is literally telling you two or three different ways to do something. Okay, first, you know what, we're gonna try this. Hey, you know what, my way didn't work, but I want you to try my way a different way. Like, what the hell? Like, again, fool me once, shame on me. So why would you do that 2 or 3 times? I don't care how gifted somebody is. Unless you're going to bring in 2 or 3 other leaders or other people that can help Kevin Durant. The guy clearly said all he wants to do is play basketball. That's what he wants to do. So him asking to remove a general manager and a head coach is just him trying to show that he has power or some type of control in that franchise. So at this point, as far as I don't think Kevin Durant is going to be moved. But with that being said, I think Steve Nash won't be there. So it's one or the other. And I said it last. I think I said it last podcast. I think a couple of weeks ago. If I'm anybody in that front office, I'm literally in the chair having a drink right now, trying to figure out what the hell going on. Because right now you're in the front office. You got your general manager telling you one thing, then you got your player telling you we don't want these guys in the front office, or general manager, head coach. Like, now you're kind of stuck. So it's like I said, at this point, I don't think Kevin Durant is moved just because of, dude, he's Kevin Durant. That's how they're looking at it in the front office. They think as long as they have him, they have opportunity and they can change coaches. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're having the same conversation next year to where now Kevin Durant wants out or he wants to go somewhere else or he's not happy. Like, that wouldn't shock me.
I'll say this. I think neither happens.
Ooh.
And I think all parties will be starting off together in training camp, including Kyrie.
That'd be awkward.
Yeah, it'd be awkward, but I just don't see nothing. I don't see nothing done. I just don't see nothing done. I don't see the Lakers. If they're really interested in Kyrie, they would trade away those first round picks for Kyrie a long time ago. That deal got done a long time ago. Granted, like I said, I discussed this ad nauseum in the past. I'm not getting ready to draft picks just to get rid of a player. I believe that's stupid to me. Just a straight swap between players, between Kyrie and Westbrook, should be good enough. If you got more salary because Russ's deal more expensive than Kyrie's, throw in Joe Harris and call it even. But I don't think the deal get done. I think Brooklyn's high demand is too much. You know, the compensation they're trying to ask back is too much. So I think nothing gets done. I think they just, just go about their business, come in with a business relationship, and just go about that way and see how the season, goes about. Like I said, you added T.J. Warren, you added Bruce O'Neal, you get Joe Harris back healthy, T.J. Warren, that third option, Ben Simmons, his behind better be ready to go. And then along with the two young guys you drafted last year, and Thomas and Sharp, and Claxton in the fold. So, and Steph Curry, you got a nice roster there. It's just, everything else got to come to place. And Durant and Kyrie just got to stay healthy for this thing to work.
Yeah, like I said, I think that they have a decent roster. Like, I just feel like that roster isn't bad. Remember I was saying last year, I was like, this is one of the best talented rosters I've seen. But, granted, it's not the same as our roster now. They still have a few pieces that they replaced. But they still got those two guys if they keep them. It's just that these type of... Think about how awkward it's going to be coming back to camp. Like, you don't want me to be here. And you don't want to be here. Like, understand that it is business and keep it business, but a lot of people are going to have a problem with that. So, I just wonder how it's going to do things as far as keeping those guys together, keeping that unit, and keeping them on the same page. Now, obviously, what cures everything is winning. So, but, we'll see. And I think, like I said, I really think that I'm just hearing, hey, is it either him or me? And I wonder how long that lasts. Or they can just call Kevin Durant's bluff like they're doing with the trade and go on about the season, which is also possible.
Well, D-Law got disconnected there. Oh, he's back on. You there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, let's hop on to this game schedule real quick, D-Lock. That's been leaking here for the past couple days. According to Mark Stein and Shams Saradia, the Christmas schedule's been released. Well, not released, but it's been leaked. First matchup, we got Bucks at Celtics. Not bad. We got the 76ers at the Knicks. We'll see how that goes. The Suns.
I don't know how they got that one.
Well, New York. That's all I can say. New York. Suns at Nuggets. Should be a good one. Lakers at the Mavericks. And Grizzlies, I think the marquee one, really. The Grizzlies at the Warriors. Look at those Christmas Day games, D-Lock. Which one you kind of anticipated for? Or which one you looking forward to in your eyes?
So for me, I ain't gonna lie, the one that was the biggest shocker to me that was on there was the Knicks.
the Knicks and the Sixers, but I guess I'm putting Spike Lee in that same situation as Jerry Jones is. He'll find a way to be on national television some type of way. But a lot of people have been talking about that Grizzlies and Warriors game. I think it'll be pretty interesting. But the one that I'm really interested in, to be honest with you, is the Suns and the Nuggets. That's the one that I would really love to see. Seeing a Jokic with a Devin Booker, Chris Paul. Jamal Murray definitely should be healthy by then. I want to see that matchup in Denver. I think that's going to be one to watch. Out of all of them, I mean, the Bucks and Celtics, we see how great that was, but we expect, a good game out of that. Sixers and Knicks, not too much interesting to me. Lakers and Mavs, outside of Luka, we'll see what Anthony Davis is ready for. And the Warriors and Grizzlies be interesting. The fact that it's the NBA Final Champs against, star-studded Grizzlies who were having high expectations last year and this year coming up. But I really like the Suns and the Nuggets, man. I think that game is going to be one that is going to be big.
Bucks and Celtics, I think that'll be a very good matchup. Both rosters haven't really changed much as of this recording. So, real interesting to see, how that matchup's going to be and all that stuff. Sixers at Knicks, I think the only reason why the Knicks are on the schedule is because they're the Knicks. And you're more guaranteed to get views compared to Brooklyn. Because, we'll see how they look by the time Christmas rolls around. But I'd be real to see, what the Knicks is going to look like and whatnot. And how Thibodeau is going to turn the team around with Brunson in the fold now. Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, can he take another leap to be an all-star type of player in this league? And then you're going to get, a revamped 76ers squad with Harden, seem like more motivated, with Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and then you add in P.J. Tucker and whatnot. It'll be weird to see how things shake out for Philly. Suns and Nuggets, I think the key thing right there, how the Nuggets going to look come Christmas time. With Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray coming back into the fold. You also added Bruce Brown as well. So, that'd be real interesting to see, how they look come Christmas time. And also for the Suns. Chris Paul it'll be another year older. They lose, JaVale McGee. You match the contract for DeAndre Ayton going to the Pacers. What's his mindset going to be like? And I think one underrated thing, like, does he really want to be there in Phoenix after they kind of scoff and not giving him the max contract to begin with? We'll be hearing stories around this time that he wants out once he's trade eligible. And then, with Devin Booker dating the Jenner girl, and not dating her at the moment or whatever, is he going to have a clear focus? Or when we start hearing stories about this time they getting back together? Just quality questions right there in that matchup. Lakers, Mavs for me, is rest on the roster.
Yeah.
Will AD be healthy for that game?
Yep.
How will LeBron be looking? How will Darvin Ham be looking at this point at Christmas time? You know, can the role players at this point find that groove for the Lakers? And then you look at the Mavs. The Mavs had a quality roster turnover. We talked like during the playoffs and during the season about the Mavs. You know, they really had no size inside, no inside scoring. They go out and get Christian Wood. They go out and sign JaVale McGee. So now you got quality, guys down low that can give you some points down there and some good defense. Get Tim Hardaway back from injury. How do they replace the production of Jalen Brunson? Quality questions right there, about that at that point that we should get answers on the Mavs. And then I think for me, the marquee matchup, Grizzlies at the Warriors. I think both teams wanted this. I think, the way how that series went, the blowouts and stuff like that, the blowout, the Grizzlies had against them at home without John Morant. How is he going to come out after going out in that series? And if he didn't go out in that series, D-Lock, things could have changed drastically for the Memphis Grizzlies. Are we talking about the Warriors, winning another title? Do they shake things up if they went out in the semis like that? Quality questions there. And then also about the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson's going to be out early part of the season. Will he be healthy enough to come back by Christmas? For the Warriors, I think my main thing for the Warriors, how is James Wiseman going to look at this point? That is key for me.
That's very key.
How he looks, but how Steve Kerr is going to bring him along. That's my main concern. How Steve Kerr is going to bring him along up to this point. Because if Steve Kerr ain't having his kid along in a solid program, there's something, either Wiseman ain't really listening or Steve Kerr ain't that type of development type of coach. And I kind of started leaning that he's not that development type of coach. Yeah, you can have nice assistants to do that and stuff like that. But I at least expect my head coach to have some development to bring along young players. That's just me. I had a problem with that with Phil Jackson when he was at the Lakers. Didn't really develop enough young guys in the fold to kind of keep things going. That you could have stretched that Kobe and Shaq thing out a little bit longer. I think the only real young guy in the second stint, he did a little bit more better than that with the Lakers, with like guys like Jordan Farmar, Shannon Brown, Sasha Vujacic, and Bynum and whatnot. But that first stretch, the only real young guy that really got developed under them was like Devin George.
Yeah.
And I look at Steve Kerr like, if you play your cards out with Wiseman, you got something there. And we'll go back to when we talk about the draft and we talk about Chet Holmgren and stuff like that. And people worry about his size and all that stuff. Ain't too many guys going to post him up and back and down in today's NBA. They're not. But if you find the right one, I'm not saying Wiseman should be just straight up back to the basket type of big, but If you find a guy that can do a little mix of both, then you got something in your hands, and you don't have to be so dependent on Steph, Clay to do all the scoring. You can throw him down to a young big and let him work. And in basketball terms, put a side on him and ride him. But I think, right there, that's the real marquee matchup for me. Warriors and Grizzlies. And, two teams that possibly you'll see in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I think that another thing that I also agree with you on that aspect is Memphis is going to be a year in. What I mean by that is, remember I was saying last year, I felt like they were a young group that was hard to trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think, now they have a year in, they're going to be a better team together. Now, clearly with a few questions as far as injuries, who's going to be healthy. But later on down the year, I think that this could be one of those teams, like you said, that can get to that Western Conference Finals. To be honest with you, I felt like this was the year that Dallas just got there. They got pretty far. I think they'll still contend, but I think it'll be a little bit harder for the Mavericks to win. Memphis being, a group, another year in with that group. So that matchup is going to be one to watch. So like I said, I definitely see that as one. It's just going to be very, and then it's, clearly I think a lot of, whoever set the schedule up, they see the same thing as well about putting them, I believe, within the last game, Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and how Christmas Day is. Hell, we have a football game that day as well. So we're going to have a hell of a lot of games going on that day, on both sports. So, to start out having, Milwaukee early against Boston, then having Philly, then in the middle you got Phoenix and Denver, and then a few more games and having the Warriors at the end. So I think, like I said, that game is going to be interesting. I think Memphis is going to be a hell of a lot better at that point. But also, even when we hear about Christmas Day, we got to remember, like, the season for the NBA is just not getting started around that time.
Yeah.
Like, that's when teams are starting to really get, they kind of catch their rhythm around Christmas and New Year's Day, around that week. That's when we start to see these teams starting to gel. So I think that's when we see the best of the Warriors, the best of Memphis, and other teams there. So I think, like I said, it's going to be an interesting day. I like how they set it up just because of, sometimes we used to think that, okay, well, the game that nobody really wants to see, they just put that early in the day. Now, hell no. What you want to do is you want to have a very good game early, kind of put the least interesting game, I guess, in the middle somewhere, and then close it out with a bang. So, come on now. You open up Christmas Day with Jason Tatum against Giannis. You close it out with a John Moran versus Steph Curry. That's probably one of the better NBA days throughout the whole season. That kind of gives you that playoff vibe. You know what I'm saying? To where, in the playoffs, we got Eastern Conference and Western Conference games going the same day. So you're going to get those good players going against each other. And that's very rare to see, during the season. So when you see these star-studded games, that makes the day very, like I said, very interesting. Not just starting at 7 at night, but more so at 12, 11, or 12 or 1 in the afternoon. From then on, man, you got games you watching until the lights go off.
I think that's, before we close out, I think that's one thing I think you appreciate the NBA on. They set the best matchups for that Christmas Day. It's like the NFL got Thanksgiving, the NBA got Christmas, hockey, they got that, I guess that month of January, when they set matchups in the stadiums and whatnot.
Yeah, they got that, yeah.
And then, baseball.
Baseball also has that. They're so busy during October. They have a lot of games during the playoff times. So that's when really baseball takes over. But like you said, each sport has its own time, where they really just that sport, just that day. And I think that, like I said, Christmas Day, basketball, like I said, we definitely appreciate that because, like I said, man, from 12 to 10 or 11, you got a great game going all the way through. I mean, think about the players we're going to see Christmas Day. You're going to see Giannis. You're going to see Jason Tatum. You're going to see LeBron. You're going to see Luka. You're going to see Steph. The only people that you're really missing is Kevin Durant and Kyrie, mainly. So got a great group of guys coming in on Christmas Day. My only interest is I wonder if they're going to change the uniforms like they used to do back in the day.
Well, we'll see on that one. I don't know if anybody leaked on that or not, but we shall see. There's no those T-shirts crap back in the day, though. There's none.
That's over with. Yeah, keep that in the past.
But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can definitely find me at Black-813 on Twitter, Instagram. Side note, my Bucks had a hell of a game that I was very impressed with yesterday, so I've been kind of talking about that. And also talking about, another track season coming up for the Georgia State Panthers. So let me know they can find you right now.
Find me. You can find us on Twitter on Fastbreak at IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. You can also follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. I do have a show on the side called The Crooks Process. Just follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I do a lot of posts on there and whatnot. So keep up on there. I'll give you post drops when I do another episode. Just doing regular posts. Just talking about things. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, do check out iSportsRadio.com. You get all the latest news of all the shows here on the network. And I'll talk to y'all next week. We're out.